So you might have heard of the Dorian scale, and you might know that that's the second mode of the major scale. So it's one of the relative scales of the major scales, which just means that it contains exactly the same notes as the major scale, starting from a different degree. In this case, the Dorian starts from the second degree. So if the C major scale contains the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and the series of intervals to make the C major scale like any other major scale is whole step, whole, half, whole, 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 half, the Dorian scale instead starts from the second degree. So if you guys want to play the D Dorian scale, you will just start from D and you will be playing all of the notes of the C major scale. So you'll be playing D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, okay. This obviously means that, yeah, the notes are the same, but the series of intervals are different. So you will find a whole step followed by a half step, then whole step, whole step, whole step 3 times, then half step, whole step, okay. The fact that you find 3 whole steps in a row will be one of the things that, you know, as we will see in a minute, will define really the color of the Dorian scale. Now in the C major scale, we number all of the notes as major or perfect, all of the intervals are major or perfect, which means that in the C major scale we say root, major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seventh. In the Dorian scale instead, because the series of intervals is different, what you will number will be root, major second, minor third, so the Dorian is a minor area scale, then perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, minor seventh. Okay, so the major sixth is actually really important because if you think about it, it's the only note which will be different from a natural minor scale. Okay, now the natural minor scale is another mode of the major scale. It's the 6th mode of the major scale, the Aeolian, but you might just know it as the relative minor of a major scale, which is absolutely fine. So it contains all of the notes of the major scale, this time starting from the 6th degree. In the example we are right now in, so C major, that would be A Aeolian, A natural minor. Okay, the series of intervals again is different, but we're not going into that because that's not today's topic. I just want to say that when you play the natural minor scale or just minor scale, you will find the flat 6, so the minor 6th degree, as well as the minor 3rd and the minor 7th. But the minor 3rd and the minor 7th are also in the Dorian scale, so they are not unique of the Dorian scale. It's the 6th, the major 6th degree that will really make the Dorian what it is. So it will really give the color typical of the Dorian scale. So if I play all of the notes of the C major scale starting from D, so D Dorian as I said, I will get something like... And this is the sweet tone and feeling that you get typical of the Dorian. If instead I want to play D Aeolian, so D natural minor, I get something like... You know, it's a completely different feeling, although it's only a different note, one different note, the flat 6. So I would get a B flat in the D Aeolian, D natural minor. I do have a B instead in the D Dorian. Okay, and although I don't have any harmony, any chord really underneath yet, you can already understand the colors that we are going to underline with Dorian scale. Now you're supposed to play the D Dorian scale over the D minor 7 chord, okay, or D minor chord, so basically the 2nd degree of the C major scale. And the chord already contains root, minor 3rd, perfect 5th, and even minor 7th if you play the 7th. So obviously the minor 3rd and the minor 7th are really important chord tones, but they're not a surprise because as we said, even the Aeolian or natural minor will have them. It's in the extensions that you will really get the color of the Dorian. So the major 9th and the perfect 11th, beautiful colors, typical of Dorian, but not only of Dorian. You do find them even in the natural minor scale, but more importantly, the major 13th. Now, one thing which is really important every time you approach any mode, so even this Dorian mode, is that you don't have to think about the major scale it comes from. So don't think about C major anymore. Yes, the notes are the same, but when you improvise, you should take the distance from the C major scale and think of it as a different scale. So thinking of it as D being the root, and therefore all of the notes which are the same notes as the C major scale will have a different meaning, a different weight, because they will be related to D as the root. So how can you really think of the D Dorian scale as a separate scale from the C major scale? Well, a good way is approaching it as a pentatonic scale. Now, if we think about the key of C major or A minor, the pentatonic that you associate to this key is going to be this one, that I'm sure most of you already know, and that's the A minor pentatonic scale or C major pentatonic scale. But when we think of it as D Dorian instead, we should think of D minor pentatonic. Okay, for instance, here I'm thinking of the shape 4 with this root note here, this root note here over this chord. Okay, and when you play this, obviously you have a different sound from the A minor pentatonic scale or C major, and you have a different approach to the improvisation. Okay, you start from here, you start from the minor pentatonic of the Dorian key, of the Dorian scale. Okay, so D minor pentatonic, and from here you start going out of it, adding the colors which are typical of the Dorian. So I'm talking about the major 13th, okay, in all of the octaves where you find it, and the major 9th, which, although it's not unique of the Dorian, is a nice extension in the Dorian sound too. So thinking again of the notes of the arpeggio, color 13th, 9th, 13th again. Okay, and if for instance we move it to the shape 1 of the minor pentatonic, so D minor pentatonic shape 1, something that you all can look at is, you know, the major 13th here or the major 9th, so, and play something more in the style of David Gilmour, so more Pink Floyd. Okay, so it's obviously very important to know which notes you are playing and which degree they represent in the key that you are in. So yeah, once you understand what the Dorian scale is, what notes and degrees you have in it, it's the time to put that in practice, looking at it with a pentatonic approach. So minor pentatonic scale of the Dorian scale first, and then you go out, adding the colors typical of the Dorian to get that feeling that only the Dorian scale can give. Right guys, that's all for this quick lesson on how to use the Dorian scale on guitar. I really hope you got some value out of this lesson, and if you did, please make sure to show your support hitting the like button. That really means a lot. And if you want to support the channel even more and find extra resources like examples and tabs and more, make sure to visit my Patreon page and think about becoming a patron. Thanks a lot for watching this video guys. This was the Bearded Guitarist. Have a great day.